Welcome everyone to another edition of Deconversion Stories, and as you can see, Mikey is a no-show. I have a feeling he's sleeping because he's been doing super late nights lately, and I think he probably forgot to set his alarm. So I'm kind of hoping he jumps in here at some point. When he does, we'll add him to the show, obviously. But today I'm talking with Ateo here, who's also got his own channel on YouTube. Actually, I have his link tree linked below. If you want to click on that, you can find out all the stuff that he does there. And he's got this great animated character that he has with his NEA t-shirt on there, or hoodie actually is what it is. So, which is pretty cool. I'm kind of hoping that the Atheist experience doesn't come after you for logo usage.
Oh, actually, they allowed it, so it's cool.
Oh, cool. All right, very cool.
Yeah, that was the first thing that I did when I wanted to start the channel. Guys, can I copy you? Yeah, sure. I want to be your version in Spanish. Okay. Just copy it, but not make it too obvious. So sure, totally not obvious. Totally.
Yeah, no. Except I think the A is the closest thing that comes to it. You got different colors for the other letters, so it's all good.
Yeah, actually, I just copied their logo and that's it. The A is the same A from Atheist because, Ateo Spanish is the same.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, Mateo, thanks for joining us today. Well, he'll be here shortly. He just texted me. He says, yeah, sorry, I'm running late here. I'll be there in a minute. So he's going to jump in here shortly.
Nice. And thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Well, I think it was Phil who's in the chat there that set this up for us so that we could have all you guys that are involved with the Skeptic Haven Network to come on and share your stories. And that's what we do here, Mateo, is we talk to folks about how they found their way out of whatever belief systems they were once a part of. So I generally kind of ask you to take us back to those days when you were in some form of a belief system and how you started realizing that it was goofy or silly, and you slowly but surely, climb your way out of there.
Oh, well, I hope you have time because it's kind of a long story. Should I just start?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we got an hour. So
cool. It all started when my mother and my father met. And 9 months later, I was born, and yeah, most stories start like
go that far back,
Okay. Well, my mother is actually a Catholic. My father, he doesn't practice really, but he is an evangelical, and he's the lightest one in our house. He believes and all of that, but it was my mother, the one who would take us to church and all of that. But my mother is an believer. Sorry?
Was your mother a pretty serious believer and all that?
Actually, no. That is the interesting thing. Both of my parents, they believe, but my mother is an amazing person, extremely smart, and she always taught us how to teach by ourselves. And that was what put me into this road. And on the other hand, I got very interested in religion. I guess one of the reasons is because I used to wake up very early, turn on the TV, and I would see evangelical programs from the USA. Yeah. There is one that had a cartoon, I remember. The name was Puntito in Spanish. I don't know. It must be something related to dot in English. And I could watch the whole show only to watch like 30 seconds of this cartoon. And I got interested in religion. My mother took me to Catholic church. And, well, it was boring, and watching the Catholic Church in the morning, it was very boring. But the evangelical people, they had some more interesting stuff. And I had a friend who was evangelical, and he took me to his church. So I started learning about that religion as well.
Yeah, they're pretty energetic, and for lack of a better word, there's what they get all crazy in there and the stuff that goes on. It's kind of entertaining. Not that I believe any of it, but it's still kind of like, holy shit, this is crazy stuff.
Oh, well, I've seen the ones from the USA. This one is a little bit different down here, so I don't know if it's the same. Actually, we have these kind of evangelical people who go to church and they do some activities inside the church, but they are different from the ones who are outside on the street shouting with a megaphone at people. So there are kind of more than one type of evangelical down here. I remember I learned to play some musical instruments, and that's it. And then I started to get involved with the Jehovah's Witnesses. For me, it was interesting. I got really, really involved with them. They would bring these magazines that would talk about animals and science, stuff that I really loved. now I know that that wasn't real science, but I was a kid back then. And with them, I
Easily
started.
duped.
Yeah, very easily. Actually, my personal Bible quotation mark was a blue book called How Did Life Get Here by Creation or Evolution? And
Oh,
I could
wow.
only read the first half because that was where the scientific stuff was. The next part was the Bible, and I was like, okay, this is boring. I can study this on my own later. But yeah, I started reading
Boring
about
as
that.
bullshit.
Yeah, boring and bullshit, totally. And well, the scientific part, it had a lot of experiments and studies that had been done about evolution and stuff like that. And I was a child, so I quotation mark understood, oh yeah, evolution is not possible because it's impossible according to the scientists. And yeah, it was.
That's not what they say.
Well, yeah, sadly it's not, but I was in a very small town. I went to a shitty school. I had a shitty biology teacher. And when I told him, you know what, I really like biology and what you teach, but my church told me about this, and I have learned that evolution is not possible because organisms do this and that and blah, blah. I gave the whole explanation. He looked at me and said, oh, yes, I know the religion that says that. And he left. The freaking asshole just left and never even acknowledged anything of what I said. So obviously, with that type of teachers, I had no option but to keep believing that, oh, evolution is totally fake. And it wasn't until I was like, must have been 16, 17 years old. Must have been 17 because I went to the university and then I realized, oh, I actually don't believe any of this. Because I was in that stage when I was trying to analyze everything about what I have learned. I was trying to find answers about why all religions contradicting themselves so much, despite them choosing the same book to say what they say. But hey, why do people say that God is love if in this part it says that it brings the sword? Or why do Jehovah's Witnesses say that we cannot eat, we cannot get blood transfusions? And in here they say that we have to make sacrifices and stuff like that. And that is what started my way to become an atheist and leave religions. I guess that's a short version. Hey, only 8 minutes, very short.
Yeah, no kidding. And we started 3 minutes in, so it's actually only 5 minutes.
You see,
the condensed version. So, well, I mean, when you were going to church with your mom, did she ever tell you like why she felt she needed to take you to the church and stuff like that? Like,
I would say it was more something that we are expected to do. I mean, we are Latinos, so obviously everybody must be at church on Sundays, and there's not a real reason. We stopped going because either my mother was busy or she got tired or there were other stuff to do. We had to visit our grandparents. So, and I was a child who would wake up very early, so I could go to my mother's bed, stay with her, and we could watch watch it on TV. So we didn't even have to get up early and go to the church. So it was something more like oh, that's Mike. So it was something more like a ritual or something that is expected from everyone.
Okay.
Like the weird thing would be not going to church. Like, why aren't you at church? You should be there. Yeah, and as I said, small town, religious and all of that. There are more churches than schools. So you get the general idea, I'm sure.
That's kind of scary. More churches than schools.
Ooh, you don't know half about it. Last summer, there was a huge fire. No, it was like 2 or 3 summers ago. And we went with my family to help an aunt that lived in a very small town. And this town has like 1 school and 2 churches. The evangelical one and the Catholic one. And it's like, what? Everything was burned except the churches that were outside or in the square and the school. It was creepy, for real.
Yeah, no kidding. So your mom and dad weren't like overly religious, but they were still believers. So how did they take it when you told them that you kind of lost your belief in that sort of thing?
I'm sure my mother never said it, but I feel that she feels embarrassed. For example, she always told me if I saw the Jehovah's Witnesses, that would used to go to my house, my mother would say, yeah, don't tell them that you don't believe, just say yes and that's it. And so like, don't talk about those things. It was like, okay, if you don't want me talking about it, I'm not going to talk about it, mother. Anything to make you happy. And even
but now you have a YouTube channel.
yeah, it was so interesting because first she didn't care about the YouTube channel, but then she had to come here because I don't live with my mother. She had to come to see a doctor, and she stayed with me for a while. And we started watching my channel together, I guess, to do something, and because she wanted to get closer to me a little bit. And even though she still disagrees with me, at least she kind of enjoys seeing me doing something that I like. So,
Yeah,
for
sure.
as I said, my mother is amazing. She may still believe, but she's still amazing and supports me in her own way.
That's great. Yeah, for sure. My mom's the same way.
Cool.
Mind you, she considers herself more of an agnostic than atheist or a believer. So she goes, I don't really know if he's real or whatnot. So, which is, you know what? That's okay. You can be a believer if you want to. I'm not going to hold that against you. I'm not convinced anymore, so I don't see why other people are, to be honest. But I've always equated it to once you find out about the stuff and you give up those beliefs. I've always equated it to when you discover the wizard behind the curtain in like the Wizard of Oz. You see who's working all the controls, and you're like, oh, so this is all nonsense. Well, fuck. I don't think you can come back from that. But even though I know people that have, they've gone to atheism and then back to belief. Do you know anyone that's done something like that?
I have seen only one case. This guy Justin, but he was in the ACA for a while. He was an atheist, and
Muslim.
He became a Muslim, and because somebody convinced him with the kalam. I mean, what the heck? How is that possible?
I don't know.
It's like, how do you go and believe again back into Santa Claus? We stopped believing in Santa for a reason. How can you go back? It's so weird.
Yeah, it is very much so. I know Justin as well. I've had him on the show back when he was still an atheist. And then he just kind of, I don't know how he claims the kalam, but how the hell could the kalam convince you? It's fucking dubious at best when you start with the conclusions. So the what do you call it?
The premises, it fails from the first premise.
Yeah.
So it's totally terrible.
It's just an assertion to start with, so you got to fucking prove the assertion before you can even carry on. So it's like, what the hell? Oh well,
things that happen.
Yeah. And Native Atheist says that Justin has been a bad boy lately. I'm not too sure. I don't really pay much attention to him, but and Anton says he loves hearing about supporting parents, and I do too, because often I have people on here that end up with really bad breaks from their families, and it's heartbreaking and maddening at the same time. So it's good that you still have that with your mom.
Yeah, I've seen that so much. With my father, I never had a really strong relationship, and I think that he doesn't even know that I have the channel because we don't even talk much. I know he loves me, I love him, but he lives in his own world. I live on my own world, and I always thought that if he found out, maybe things were not going to change much. But if my mother could have rejected me and done things that I've seen other people doing on the internet, that could have been harsh. That could have been terrible. Yeah. So I totally understand and understand the fear that a lot of people feel about leaving religion. They don't live only because of their families, and I understand why. It's terrible and scary.
Especially if they're at an age where they still require that foundation, it's a little bit harder for them. But I find once they've moved out of the house, it's probably a little easier, but still some of them are afraid to lose that. Not that they need the foundation so much, but the community and their family have always sort of been a part of them. And it's hard to give something like that up if that's what's ultimately going to happen. So I understand why people are don't tell their family that they have not believing anymore and stuff like that. So,
I mean, I came to the university when I was 17, and I was living with an aunt, and she was extremely religious. So I had to keep all that to myself because obviously I was living at her house, and I was not going to discuss and risking being kicked out of the house, right?
Yeah, so, you don't want that.
And it's sad, but most teenagers are the ones starting to become atheists, and they are trapped inside houses where they cannot express who they are. Well, just like when they start discovering their sexuality and all that stuff, right?
Should have had a question, and I was going to ask you, and you were continuing with what you were saying, and now I forgot what the hell it was.
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize you had a question.
That's okay. It's okay. No worries. This is about you, not me, anyways. But with the relationship with like your aunt while you were in college, was you just basically didn't bring up that kind of topic at all while you were living there, or did she have questions for you? Was she suspicious of anything, or?
I mean, I was lucky and unlucky at the same time because she could go to church every single freaking Friday. And she was living with her father, and he was very old. That meant I didn't have one freaking single Friday free to go party because I was the one who had to stay at home taking care of this old man.
Oh,
and do you want to know the worst part? He died the last year when I was working on my thesis, and I didn't even have time to party anymore. Okay, it was terrible. But yeah,
it's not fun losing family, of course.
And not going to any party is not fun either. So I was the slave of that house. Sad,
really?
Sad.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I kind of felt like, okay, I had to pay rent in a way, right? So if they needed anything, I had to be there for them. That's why I live alone now. I don't want to live under anybody else's rules.
Fair enough. And that's kind of why I got the hell out when I did too. I'm like tired of this. I'm going to govern my own life. Thank you very much. Yeah, but I totally get that. I mean, if you're living there and they're not asking you for money to stay there, then yeah, sure, you're helping out with chores and stuff. I get that. And I'd probably do that too with somebody if I had a kid under my roof that was going to school. I wouldn't make them pay. I mean, that was the deal with my dad. My dad's like, if you're going to school, I'm not going to ask you for any money. But if you're going to be out of school and you're going to get a job, then I want 20% of your fucking income. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, you're living there, so
yeah, that's fair. 20% is not bad, actually. It's doable. I mean, of course, back then I wasn't making a shit ton of cash, but
20% from taxes, 20% for your parents.
Yeah,
that's life, I guess.
I still would end up, with half of the check at least, anyways. But yeah, whatever. You got to do what you got to do, right? I mean, education's important, right?
Ooh, can I promote my channel?
Of course you can.
Well, people, if you want to practice your español, feel free to check the channel, Nuestra Experiencia Atea. You would love it if you speak Spanish. I have a couple of interviews in English, but they are in a separate list. And I'm very happy to be here because this is extremely exciting. My first video was actually 2 years ago. So this is my second anniversary, and I'm extremely happy. And it's incredible that you invited me right today because, second year's anniversary makes me extremely, extremely happy to be here. So thank you for that, sir.
Happy 2-year anniversary. And I just said, I threw out some dates and you chose this one. So yeah, I guess it's your fault.
And I didn't realize until like yesterday that it was the anniversary. So I still haven't prepared the anniversary episode. But soon I will. I promise.
Yeah, you should do that. Definitely have that on. You could probably have a couple other folks on, like I would do just sort of like a live stream thing with a bunch of folks and talk about the progression of your channel and some of the topics you cover and stuff like that. Might be kind of cool.
I like that. I will do that. Yep. I'm taking your idea. I'm inviting you officially if you want to join me.
I would love to pop in just to say hi and stuff like that and meet some other folks. And
awesome.
You never know.
Only 50 more volunteers to visit me. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, if you speak Spanish, especially, and if you do want to check out the stuff that Teo's got in English, you can check out his channel, which will be provided by the Linktree link that is down below, and go over there and give him a sub. I've already done that, so yeah, definitely do that. I guess Mikey is having some issues. I don't know what's going on there, but he said he would come, but he'll probably
understandable.
Show up for the after party.
Hey, can I answer Kat's question? I like that.
Kat, what's that?
Oh yeah, she's asking, what started to break down your belief, Teo? Well,
Teo, yeah.
I have to say that the thing that started my breakdown was actually that I liked religion so much that I went to 3 different denominations or versions of Christianity, and I realized how much they contradicted each other. And also, seeing how how unfair word is, how reality didn't match what was written on the Bible and what I was learning, definitely had a huge impact on me. But I guessed, and I think it was mostly the contradictions. I guess I, of course, had those, oh, why, if I'm such a good person, everything goes wrong and my prayers don't work? Of course, I'm sure everybody had that. But the strongest point or evidence for me was the contradictions of all religions. I mean, how could I be studying 3 different versions of the same book, reading the same book? They could get conclusions that were totally different.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And Anton kind of wanted to know what your experience is. I guess the chat's handling the questions tonight. Anton wanted to know what was your experience inside JW community?
Actually, for me, it was very good. I enjoyed it a lot. Obviously, I was very young, so I could get bored in some of the meetings, but I didn't realize all the awful things that could happen in that type of environment. So I actually enjoyed it a lot because I enjoyed learning a lot of things. I had to read a lot, and I really liked that. So I actually had a good time. I had a fun time over there. I didn't have any bad or traumatic experience.
I kind of want to know what you thought was one of the craziest parts of their beliefs.
The thing about blood transfusions, not accepting that, made me very, how can I say it? Made me realize that there was something wrong. And actually, I remember there are 2 interesting points that I have never forgotten about them. One was when I learned about that, and I had to ask, but what happens if you need a transfusion? Because we know that this is a medical procedure. And the person who was teaching me, she did 2 things. First, she said, no, but the Bible says this, and also there are other procedures. For example, you can put you can put water in your body so it mixes with blood. And I was like, is that even safe? And then she did the most unreligious thing ever. And I remember, because I respected the milkman a lot because it was a nice person and I had talked with him. And she said, oh, like when the milkman put water on milk. And my first thought was, is she right? Is she lying about the milkman? Is she saying that he does something that she cannot prove? Isn't that totally anti-religious? So that was my first strong doubt about the real intention of these people and about if they are as good as they say. Because, rise false witness, levantar falso testimonio in Spanish, lie about somebody. And the second thing was, the first time, because these were 2 women who would come and teach me, and the older sister and the younger sister. And there was one day when the older sister couldn't come. So her father came, and that meant that the younger sister had to cover her head while he was talking. And she was not able to speak as when the older sister was there. So, that was kind of the first time of seeing patriarchy in action or something like that. And I could consider myself a feminist in the sense that I consider men and women being equal. So seeing that this situation, there was a woman right there who used to explain things to me, and she had to behave like being inferior to a man, make me think a lot of things and made me realize, okay, there is something definitely wrong in here. I'm sure there were more things, but those 2 things, those 2 specific acts, are things that I have never forgotten, and that I think were the things that made me realize that something was wrong. And thanks to critical thinking, I reached some conclusions time later.
First of all, people, don't put water in your blood. That's just stupid.
Yeah, please, don't do it.
Not a good idea. And something else that Anton had said that I thought was kind of funny. Once heard from a JW that she believes Jesus was Archangel Michael in disguise. Well, she's probably the only one that thinks that, Anton, so I don't think it's a common thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Answer that one. I've never heard that before. But don't put blood in there. And Mikey thinks absence makes the heart grow fonder. Maybe. I'm sure he'll show up at some point. But it's been kind of crazy over there for him. Tons of my says, yes, the old milkman con.
Yeah, actually, the milkman was a good friend of the family, so definitely don't talk bad about the milkman.
Free milk. What can you do, right?
Oh, not really. No, we would still buy it. Yeah.
He's fired. He's fired.
Yeah, he's fired for doing his job. How does he dare?
Yeah, I know, right? So you're saying earlier that your dad doesn't like to talk about this sort of stuff. Have you guys ever had arguments about it, and that's kind of why he didn't want to do it? Like, did you try to talk to him about it, and he kind of went off the rails a little, or what?
My father is an interesting case. I know that he loves his family, but he was always an absent father. So he would work all night long. I would be at school when he arrived, and when I arrived home, he was sleeping because he had to go work again. So I felt that, yeah, he was a guy who lived in the house, but I could never see him, and so we don't have a really real close connection, sadly. So we don't talk much, and it's quite kind of sad. I always expected him to teach me how to shave, and he was never home, so my mother had to teach me how to shave. And that is another traumatizing thing in my life for me.
So she started with her legs. So this is how you do it. It's like, Mom, no, here.
No, she's quite smart, so she was able to give me clear instructions on how to do it.
Oh, good.
It's just that I grew up watching American movies where, their father with their son sharing all this quality time, shaving for the first time. I never had that.
Tying a tie, shaving, how to put a jock strap on properly if you're into sports. Okay, maybe that was a little too much. No, I get it. There are always those little dad and son kind of moments.
Exactly. So as I didn't have those moments, we have never talked much about anything. I remember I don't even remember what I said. It must have been something very offensive against God and religion. But my father, in that moment, he looked at me and he just said, youngsters nowadays don't respect anything. And that's it. That has been kind of like the most. Wow. I didn't answer anything. Nobody said anything. So we kept eating, and that's it.
Oh, so Alma took a look, and she says, apparently they do think Michael is Jesus.
Ooh.
Weird.
Well, Alma knows a lot about Jehovah's Witnesses, so I believe in her.
Really?
I think I've heard something about that, but I totally forgot it. So I'm not going to say, oh, yeah, totally. I know that there is a connection in there, but if Alma says that, they say that he's the same guy, I believe in her. I trust you, Alma.
Were you a Jehovah's Witness at one time, Alma? Just curious, because I'd like to hear that story, how you fell out of that one.
Well, I know her story, but I will let her tell her story if she wants to.
She's always welcome to come on and tell the story. I always appreciate people that want to do that. Well, you know what? I think it helps people. I've actually gotten emails, several, from people saying that I love what you do because it's helped me and my cousin, or help just them or whatever, realize that there's lots of people out there that are non-believers, and there's an actual, mostly online, okay, because a lot of this happened during the pandemic. So online, there's a group of people that I can converse with and not have to feel ashamed or scared or whatever, right? Because some religions actually teach to kill apostates. So
yeah,
right, and that's horrifying. And I understand how people don't want to come out of the closet because they're in hard places like that where it could be really, a bad result if they do. And I've had people on the show with that. So they, used a different name and used an avatar, not quite like yours, which is all high tech and stuff, but, just a little circle or something. But they didn't want to reveal who they were. Only one person ever did that because they were able to move away from that area. So they were able to do it finally. Cool. But it can be dangerous. So, but they do appreciate it because they know that there's a community of folks out here that will back them up and be here for them when they step out of it and welcome them.
I totally understand those people who don't want to show their faces. Trust me, I can understand that. And I always feel very proud that, I am not an atheist because I started listening to people, because when I became one, this didn't exist. But in the thing that you said about the pandemic, I was able to start this thanks to the pandemic. So I totally understand how much the community has grown during this time. And I think it's also something good about COVID, at least.
Yeah, I agree. And Alma, I'll extend the invite if you ever want to come and share your story. All you got to do is reach out to me. I have my email in the description box below. You can also, if you're on Twitter or Facebook, you can find me there as well and send me a message. We can set something up because I'd love to hear that.
I'll make sure to be on the chat saying bad things about you. I promise. She tried to steal my channel once. Can you believe that? Terrible person.
She tried to what?
There was one
Sell
day.
your channel?
No, to steal it.
Oh, steal it.
Yeah, I have a section where we talk with other people, and one day she offered to, because I had to record with the nonprofits at the same time that I had the show, and we had the guest and all of that, so I couldn't do both. And I asked her if she could, take over the channel, the episode for that day. So in the beginning, we made this fun interaction when I started introducing the topic, and she appeared and stole the channel from me and banned me from the channel. It was quite fun. And we always make fun about that.
That's hilarious. I like
in
it
Spanish,
already,
she's La Usurpadora, the usurper.
I just did an episode of Nonprofits this Wednesday, so it'll be airing on Sunday.
Oh, cool. I'll make sure to watch you there.
It's the first one. Oh, it's terrible. I was kind of out of it that day, but I'm not my usual self. But it was okay. I've been on many episodes. I took a break from it for a little while, a few months I hadn't been on. But I'm probably going to do one at the end of October as well, probably around the 19th, because that's the day before my birthday.
Ooh.
So I'll probably do that and tell everyone it's my birthday and tell everyone they can go to my Amazon wish list.
Hey, that's ingenious. I should have one of those.
It's below. Actually, Farron, one of my people that hangs in my chats, actually got me some Lego from it. So he's a big Lego fanatic. Yeah. So that was really cool.
What do I do to get fans like those?
Yeah, I know, right?
I only get death threats, and that's it.
Death threats from your fans?
Yeah, I don't have the best fans ever. They are mostly religious people trying to convert me. I have someone who actually is on a holy war against my channel, so he comments in every single video saying how awful and terrible is what I am doing. So those are my fans. Cool people.
Wow. Shit. I have the odd people showing up with stuff like that, but no, I don't really have too many like that I would call fans. But that's crazy, man.
Well, they join every single episode to insult me, so I will call them fans for a while. I mean, they are always there supporting the channel. What can I say?
Yeah. Where can we? It's all in the wish list. Tons of mice. It's all there. Yeah. No, John. I'm not famous. I'm what you call YouTube famous, but not even really that.
Oh yeah, you are YouTube famous. You are known all over the place. Come on, Aaron Russ says that if we don't come to you, we cannot be part of the community. There is a reason why he says that.
Well, yeah.
You are the filter man. Come on, now that I'm here, I can say that I made it into the big leagues because I'm finally with Neil 604. This is a huge step in my career, I have to say.
Well, I'm glad to be there for that, being that. But the step here, careful, it's kind of rickety. It's old, right? So it might snap on you. You never know.
I will keep saying this is my biggest step. Oh, infamous, some people are saying in the chat.
Infamous, yeah. Well, that's a bad thing, though. Infamy is not a good thing. I don't know if I want to be infamous. I don't really want to be famous either. I do this because I think it's important.
Well, it's going to depend. I mean, infamous means being famous due to a bad reason. But what if your bad reason is actually a good reason? For example, you can be infamous amongst religious people because you are deconverting a lot of people. So, yeah.
Well, I'm not deconverting them. They're just coming to tell me how they deconverted.
You are exposing how people deconverted. We all have a reason why we deconverted, and you are telling the world, hey, these guys are not people who hate God or stuff like that, or they are not possessed by the devil. They just are reasoning.
I think I've always thought that to be ridiculous. How can you hate something you don't believe exists? It's like hating Voldemort.
Oh, recently I had somebody telling me that if I'm an atheist, it's ironic that I don't believe in God, but I do follow Satan. And it's like, dude, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in either.
Yeah.
I try to explain that.
Well, yeah, some people just don't get it. Even Satanists, well, most of them, I can't speak for every one of them, obviously, but most of the Satanists I've ever spoke to don't actually believe in Satan. They just, it's more of a humanistic type group anyways. They have their own credo. They're like the Ten Commandments, but better.
It depends. I remember that in Panama, there was a small group of Satanists who actually believed in Satan, but they were just crazy. No, not crazy, but Christians with another worldview. But yeah, the Satanic Temple, that's just atheists playing with the advantages of religion.
The people that you need to, the ones that probably actually do consider themselves to be Satan worshippers, they would call themselves Luciferians.
Ooh, that's a name. Interesting.
Yeah, Lucifer, the other name for the devil, right? So they would call themselves Luciferians, and I know some Luciferians, and they actually do like ritual sacrificing and stuff like that, small animals and stuff like that, which I always thought was like, holy shit, stay away from my fucking cat, you psychos.
Yeah, please.
They are, they're the ones that actually do believe in devil worshipping type stuff.
That's why I say that religions are dangerous. Look what they do to Luciferians. They are just Christians that with another focus, and it's the same in the end.
Ultimately, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're all talking about Lego now. See what I did? I'm Lego famous. Legomus,
well,
whatever that means. It's like Lord of the Rings name. Legomus.
Okay, Legomus, Lego famous. We could talk about Legos, but I was never able to go through the Lego phase, so they were too expensive. And now I see that there are a lot of cheap Legos, and it's like, I don't have space for them.
Well, I wouldn't call it cheap yet, like I do. You see that pile of it right there, just sitting there.
Oh, sorry. I'm talking about the parrot version. Down here, we get the parrot versions. They are very cheap.
Oh, I see. So you get the Star Wart instead of Star
stuff
Wars.
Like that. Last time I tried to buy one, I saw the Millennium Falcon made entirely out of Legos. I said, I have to get that. And they didn't want to sell it because, I don't know. They gave me bad excuses. And that's it. There is no way I'm going to pay for the real one. The one that I saw was 1/10 of what the real one would cost. And I don't have that amount of money.
That's the one I ended up with. But I do have the actual big one, the Ultimate Collector Series one in my closet over there. So, yeah, it's cost me pretty close to $1,000 Canadian to get it.
Ooh.
Carol's like #Lego sucks. Oh, is that right?
I could live the whole year with that amount of money.
Yeah, well, yeah. I have a decent job, so I can afford to do stuff like that. Treat myself once in a while. It's not like I buy that expensive sets all the time. Let's not get carried away. I wouldn't be able to afford that. But most of my money went into my new vehicle that I got. So.
Interesting.
Yeah, Mom helped too.
Oh, that's nice. I would ask about your job and how can I steal it from you, but probably you want to keep your job, so I would understand that.
Well, I'm a chemist for an environmental company, or lab technician, technically.
Don't you need a guy who speaks Spanish just to help you doing whatever? Come on, man, I need to get there. Take me there with you.
I don't think we need someone who speaks Spanish. We already have someone. My friend and partner in the lab, Braulio, who's from Peru, Chile. Sorry, he's from Chile. So he speaks Spanish. So yeah, there you go. Hook you up with bro. Call him bro.
Oh, nice.
We have the two that we need there, and we also have a backup. Someone has a backup, but she's just a student currently. So eventually, we're able to plug her in when we need to. But she's probably going to go back to school. We won't have her anymore, so you never know. But yeah, just having me to get you a job there, which, by the way, I could do if necessary. You'd still need to get your way here, and that's where the issue comes in, right? So,
we will talk about that after the show. What about that?
we could do that, sure.
Nice.
No, okay. Look, listen, tons of mice. I don't want you promoting eating or drinking antifreeze. It's very, very bad. Very bad. We don't put maple syrup in it. I actually put something called Bitrex, which makes it taste terrible because, as you know, it comes from glycol, which is it's sweet because it's I'm not going to say it's a sugar, but it's just a different chemistry of sugar, and it's called glycol. And you add other harmful chemicals to it, and the color and stuff like that, and anti-foam so that it doesn't foam up and blow your engine up. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I don't understand glycol, and that made me think into a serpent god that is called glycon. So,
oh, maybe he's sugar-based too.
Oh, maybe.
It's a real.
We have to lick it to death.
Yeah. You gotta like the sweet gods. What was the what was his name? Bacchus or whatever, the god of wine?
Oh yeah, Dionisio for the Greek and Bacchus for the Romans. Yes.
Dionysus. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was turning water into wine a lot earlier than Jesus ever was.
Of course. And huge amounts, not only a small amount for one party like Jesus. So Dionysius has the advantage in there.
He was turning springs into them. So,
wine
springs.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That guy knew how to make a party.
What the hell's a Lurpo? John has said I bought some Lurpos from Wish. Not fun though.
I have no idea what that is.
I don't know. This is I'll show them that funny little thing. This is what happens when you order Star Wars from Wish. That's what you get. Yeah,
I like it. I like that picture.
We lost our background. There we go.
There it is. It's back.
Well, sorry, folks. I don't know what happened to Mikey. He slept in, I guess. Or at least he came in and said hi. So
that counts. That's kind of like being here.
This is intriguing, and we will definitely have to talk about this when you come on, Alma. But JWs are afraid of the Smurfs. Oh boy.
Yeah, what? I don't remember. Oh, actually, you know what? I remember when I was with the Jehovah's Witnesses. There was only one time when I decided not to go with what religion would tell me, and it was when they told me that I had to burn my Dragon Ball Z toys. Once we are poor, so it was very hard to get those, and those were obviously bootlegs, so it doesn't matter. They were the closest to the real I could get, and I really loved the show. By the way, here we get it with the original Japanese song translated to Spanish, not that awful song that Americans have over there. I have no idea, guys, why you have the obsession of destroying the openings. We got the real one in here, so it's way cooler. And yeah, I really liked it. And yeah, they told me that I had to destroy them because they could be possessed and they could attack me. And of course, at first I was scared about that. And then I was like, can they? And do I really want to get rid of them? And I remember that then I didn't get rid of them. And my father told the Jehovah's Witnesses, oh yeah, he didn't want to destroy them. And I was like, shut up, father, please. You're never here. What are you doing now?
Oh, now you choose to come and talk. Go back.
It's okay. It's okay. Years later, I ruined his relation with some. What were they? I think they were Mormons. Yeah, Mormons. I went there to visit him, and he had this nice relationship with a couple of Mormons. Cute girls. So I'm sure his intent was more than learning, just having a good time. But I was there. My sister was there. My sister studied something related to science. So I don't want to give much information, but we both love talking about science and history and human development. So obviously we had to ask why Jesus didn't appear on the Aztec murals if he was here before the Spaniards and all of that. And after several of our questions, they didn't return. Can you believe that? So can you believe that my
Weird.
father was upset about that? Very weird.
Strange, huh? Yeah, kind of. But I've raised that point as well. How come there's no fucking pictures of them on any of the other, before the Spanish showed up and stuff like that? Or was it Columbus? Well, I guess, was he Spanish? Yeah, I think he was. But
Columbus?
anyway, yeah.
Italian.
Was he
Remember
Italian?
that
Oh, yeah, that's right. He was Italian. That's right.
His myth was created in order, all the idea that he discovered the continent and all of that, it was to make to make Italians welcome in the USA. That's why they increased his figure so much.
I know, and he didn't actually discover America. The Vikings were here long before that guy.
Yep.
And
also, nobody believed that the Earth was flat back then.
Right. And technically, First Nations people discovered this place long before anybody else.
Of course.
So they moved here. And every person that you know that is what we call indigenous to the North and South America all came from those first tribes that crossed over that land bridge.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, very cool stuff. Recently watched a documentary hosted by, what's his name? Musician guy, Robert. Shit, I can't remember his last name off the top of my head. Anyway, it's called Native America, and it talks about all of that, how all the groups that came across the land bridge spread out all over North and South America and became the peoples who we now call indigenous and First Nations peoples. So there you go.
Also, I remember a story about really cool. some Japanese people arriving to Peru.
The Ainu from Japan.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, you know that story then, and how they could be royalty and all of that. It's kind of interesting, cool. Fascinating. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they would use the land to float around on their boats that they had, little boats that they made, and they would do fishing because fishing was great over here back then. So that's how they did that. We've even found some places where they set up camp here, right in my province. They have some little sites where the Ainu used to come all the time and stay and for days, weeks at a time, and then they'd pack up and go home after they had a big successful fishing run and stuff like that. So, and those bones that they found of some of the people that end up dying over here are much older than 13,000 years. So there you go.
Yeah, that I think that there are stories about Mongols also getting to Japan and then here, and in Peru there are specific places with names that don't make sense in the indigenous language, but they do make sense if you compare it with the Japanese language. So there are a lot of interesting things about other people arriving here way before Columbus started the invasion.
Let me see if I can find that real quick here.
Sure. And I will take control for a while because I read Anton Gomez saying breaking toys and collectibles because they are from the devil. I remember we only get bootlegs version in here. So I remember we had some Pokemon card with awful translations, but we could buy them very cheaply compared to other toys. And a friend of mine, this friend that I told you that was he was an Adventista, a type of evangelical person. And he had his deck, I had mine. We would play together until his mother found his cards and burned them all because they were from the devil. Because back at the time, the idea of Pokemon, they are devils of pocket devils, and they must be destroyed. And they could actually burn their toys and stuff. So it was pretty sad.
I play Yu-Gi-Oh! And they thought the same thing about that.
Yeah, I play Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, but only on the cell phone, Duel Links.
No, Duel Links. You should friend me on Duel Links.
Oh, I will. I actually started playing a couple of games and I started a new account, so maybe we could play together and show it to the world. How you kick my ass because I only have a red ice deck for now, but for now.
Oh, I use Whitesworn.
That's going to be
here we go. I'll show you guys. This is the series, and I highly recommend it. It's full of cool history and stuff that they've recently found out about. That changes a little bit about how we think of indigenous peoples. And it's not Robert. Sorry, it's Robbie Robertson, the musician Robbie Robertson from the band, and then went solo. He does that somewhere down that crazy river. He's famous for that song mostly. But here, I'll show you what it looks like, and you can look it up because I really enjoyed the show. I thought it was fantastic. And it's always good to know as much as history as we can. Right there, it's called Native America. So, and if you find that image, I think it's on probably on some of these streaming formats and stuff like that. But it's really cool, really, really cool.
Looks awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. But highly recommend that for sure. Hopefully that came out. Did you guys see that? Did it come out okay?
I saw it.
I forgot I had the background here. But yeah, Robbie Robertson is the guy who voices or what's the word? Hosts, I guess, or whatever they call that. It's unreal. Really good. If you're into that sort of history type stuff and you want to know, a little bit more about it, show a video that'll get Mikey out of bed. Well, we're not going to do that. We're going to do, I think, Ateo, if you could go back in time and talk to yourself, what kind of advice would you give to yourself as a youngster?
Oh, define youngster, because that would be several stages of my life.
When you were a kid, still kind of believing in stuff, but you were starting to have those doubts coming through. So what kind of advice would you give yourself there?
Oh, that's quite... I would love to give myself the advice of study more science, but I had no way of having access to science books. I would actually tell myself to read and try to understand all the green books in my mother's biblioteca, library, in the library. Yeah, in the library, because there was this specific group of green books. They were all about science. I read them, but I was drawn more to the drawings than actually the text. So I would check the drawings. I would try to draw some stuff, and some of them got lost with time. And I always regretted that I couldn't read those. And I'm sure that if I have read those, I would have had more information about the religious stuff. So I would tell myself to read those. But I don't think that I would try to make me stop believing before than I did, because even though there were some harms, I couldn't learn a lot of stuff that I had to learn as an adult. For example, all evolution, I believed for a long time that it was BS. And I'm going to make a short pause in here. I had this weird period when I realized that nothing from the Bible made sense. So obviously all religions were BS. And they made no sense at all. So it was impossible for the whole universe to start the way that they would say and to do it in the way that the Bible said, because that was totally stupid. But at the same time, I was unable to believe in the Big Bang, not only because I didn't understand it, I had no idea what it was, but because religion had told me that it was impossible. So in my head, none of those options was possible. And I had no way of knowing what could be possible. So, in my head, there was a constant, I don't know, I have no idea. And the only way how I could learn about that was learning about dinosaurs. Because I took a small course about dinosaurs, and in there I had to learn how life started, what the Big Bang was, and all of that. And it was amazing learning all of that as an adult. And
dinosaurs are cool.
Yeah, they are the coolest ever. I love them.
And my favorite Transformers were the Dinobots. So there you go.
I don't blame you. My first Pokemon team consists of dinosaurs, and that made me like dragons. So I totally understand. Charizard, Aerodactyl, best dinosaurs ever. So, you have Charmy. My Charmister. That's the name of my Charmander. So cute. I should show mine. So I guess I could tell myself to learn more science, but keep learning about religion, because learning about that is what made me realize that all religions were fake. Learning, or at least all the ones that I was able to study.
Right. They're all fake. Well, they're all mythologies. That's what I call them. They're all mythologies.
Yeah. Also, I cannot tell my young self, hey, go and buy YouTube shares or Google shares, because I had no money and no knowledge of shares. So Yep. Being poor sucks, man.
Here's the lottery numbers.
Hey, that's a good one.
Well, Teo, I want to thank you for coming on and sharing everything with us today. I think we'll call this one in the books, and we'll get into the after party, which you've already agreed to jump in with us. Of course, being the guest of honor, I think you kind of should for at least 15, 20 minutes.
Oh,
but I'm sure you'll hang out for longer than that.
Can I
And
answer
anyone
Anton?
out there? What's that?
Anton is asking how I got an aerodactyl. It's one of the rare ones. Actually, Anton, you had to go to the museum and they would give you an old amber, and then you could revive that one. That's how you get aerodactyl.
Aerodactyl. I have one on Pokemon Go. So.
Ooh. Yeah. I have stories about that, but they are long, so this is not the moment to talk about Pokemon
Well, we
Go.
could talk about this kind of stuff in the after party too, because the after party doesn't really have a cap on the time. Although I like to bring them to a close right around 8 o'clock ish. So Pacific time. Because that's not too late for my buddy Ollie. Because he lives on the other side of Canada. So I'll call my brother from the other coast.
So I will see you in the after party.
You betcha. We're not going to go anywhere quite yet, because I do want to let me see if I can find all this stuff here. Oh, there we go. Thank you to everyone, because he's not here. Thanks to everyone in the chats over on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Always a pleasure having you guys in the chat. And guys, if you're interested in joining Teo and myself, and most likely Mikey, I probably con him into coming to the after party, just let me know through Twitter or Facebook or something, and I can get you a link and you can jump in here. And once again, as always, thanks to my amazing patrons. You guys, I couldn't do this without you. It's wonderful that you're willing to help support the show. Link to the after party is in the description box, so you can look below for that. And like I always say at the end of the interviews, like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. Ooh. And we'll see you guys next time.